Hello everyone, my name is Floriel. Welcome to the channel or welcome back to the channel. Either way, it's good to see you guys. Now we are doing again another video about gadgets. Okay, so I'm pre-recording this just in case that this turns into a 3-part series because there could be a chance that it turns into that. So if you're seeing this, then it has turned into 3 parts. But this should be the last part based on all the footage that I have. And yeah, we'll kind of dive into the rest of this and we're going to talk some more about the gadgets. And I believe that we talked about some editing as well at the last part too. And that's really important too, that I want to show you guys some stuff. But yeah, let me know what you guys think as we watch along with it. Let's get started. I wasn't going to make this series like a definitive series on all gadgets. Like that wasn't my plan. I was sort of planning to kind of react to some ghost hunter creators and talk about the gadgets and like whether they're faking stuff knowingly or whatever, right? And I will remind y'all that Kenny, Mythos, Beardo, Mr. Gray, Debunked Paranormal, like they're all channels you should follow regarding gadgets, editing, like all the tech stuff, which is why I haven't really made a series like this before. But people have been enjoying it, so I'm going to try my best to fit in the rest of the gadgets. So we're going to just jump into this and yeah, I'll see what I can do in the editing process to mash it all together like usual. Before we get into the remaining gadgets, a few of them revolve around EM, and we may have covered some EM stuff already with the word machines and crap, but I thought, you know what, I did this in an old video. I'm going to include it here where I'm just going to explain what EM is. Why I wanted to bring this up is this is something that I would do regularly. Like if I went into a home to see if it was haunted, like people were like, oh, call me in to see if their house is haunted. They get like bad vibes or whatever. I would always actually say like, where in the house do you get like the worst vibes? And because I would bring my tools, my EMF measuring tool, but then I also had like wire testing tools and things like that. So I bring that in and then they show me the spot. And then I would start looking at the wires. And it was always like, you can use even the EMF to find like the bad wire, but it was always bad wires, like the majority of the time. Now in the US, because I talk to people who do residential in the US, they tend to run into a lot of people that are more like mental illness situations and things going on, like bad family dynamics and things like that. In Canada, I didn't run into that too often, to be honest. Like the majority of the houses I went to check out, it was EMF. It was EMF that was causing the haunting. It's very common and people don't realize, even especially nowadays, like our cell phones have EMF, all our devices do, your refrigerator, microwaves, wireless internet, like it's even more now than it was back in the day as well. So like EMF it's a bit of a mess of a measurement, and it's not a good tool to say, oh, this is a ghost. I used it more to figure out where there might have been bad wires and bad spots. And what I would do is I would use the tool and try to repeat it, try to get it to set off in the same spot, because sometimes it fluctuates, especially with wireless internet and a phone or someone running a microwave in an apartment building somewhere else. Like a microwave can set it off from far away. It can definitely cause issues too. There's like a bunch of it. So let me play some of my videos that explains a bit of EMF, or like what EM is, and then we'll talk a little bit about the EMF readers and measurement and everything as well.
It is really important to point out that all these devices are based around electromagnetic energy. Whether it's EMF, EM fields, EM barriers, EM electricity, whatever EM thing that they want to throw in front of it, it all links back to electromagnetic energy, which is the things we can't see. So let's first understand what electromagnetic energy is. Now, this is a quote from NASA. Electromagnetic energy travels in waves and spans a broad spectrum from very long radio waves to very short gamma rays. The human eye can only detect a small portion of the spectrum called visible light. A radio detects a different portion of the spectrum, an X-ray machine yet another portion. NASA's scientific instruments use the full range of the electromagnetic spectrum to study Earth, the solar system, and the universe beyond. When you tune your radio, watch TV, send a text message, or pop popcorn in your microwave oven, you are using electromagnetic energy. You depend on this energy every hour of every day. Without it, the world as you know could not exist. Electromagnetic energy, it's radiant energy that travels at the speed of light. It can carry or transfer heat, light, and energy even through the vacuum of space from one point to another. The energy itself is the byproduct of this transfer. Electromagnetic radiation was first discovered by James Clerk Maxwell, a 19th century physicist who influenced quantum mechanics today. To simplify it, think of it as an ocean. The energy is the water. The waves are the electromagnetic waves, and the electromagnetic energy is produced by the waves carrying the water from one shore to another. Electromagnetic energy is all around us, and ghost hunters and the inventors of the new age equipment use EM as a way to sense what we cannot see. That being said, EM is also our phones, our radio waves, etc., etc. So there's a huge probability of a false positive with these devices. And herein lies the issue. Ghost hunters are assuming they are getting results when there's a higher than expected chance of false positives in today's modern world. Some ghost hunters know how to mess with these devices to make it look good on camera. Some ghost hunters are honest and go out of the way to debunk it first. And some ghost hunters are just ignorant to the issues with these devices and they don't know any better.
When I get to the REM Pod, or when I cover the REM Pod stuff, this is where I first started really, because I watched Trim Paranormal like years ago, like I said, it was like 4 or 5 years ago. When their REM Pod just constantly was going off all the time and no one else's did that on any other channels, that's when I started questioning them. And then I saw this on the Watcher, because I've been watching Shane and Ryan forever too. And then I saw this on the Watcher and I was like, oh. And then that's when I started like searching what the REM Pod was made of, and I found Kenny's article and everything, which we'll go over. But yeah, this is definitely linked to it. But let's get back on track with EMF readers. So let's take a look at that as well.
Next item on the list, we have our EMF reader, and this is an oldie. It's been around for quite a while. It detects changes in electromagnetic energy, used to detect possibly unexplained fluctuations in the electromagnetic fields. The biggest thing with this, it can definitely detect some stuff, but the biggest thing with this is, remember, like, all our buildings are wired, and there's some stuff in old buildings that definitely it sets off, like plaster and things like that can set it off.
I mentioned about the plaster and stuff, and I just kind of mentioned it offhand in this video and in my previous one too. I only know this because where I live, it's a lot of turn of the century homes, which were built in the 1800s. And when we were doing ghost hunting in a lot of them, we noticed issues. There's also other issues, like the metal that was used in the plaster would sometimes act as a Faraday cage, and even our cell phones and other devices or anything wireless just wouldn't work in it. But we also noticed some other issues where there was because these old homes get rewired for the new electricity. And some of them actually were built without it, so then they were wired. But the plaster is made of metal. It has these metal sheets that kind of look like a Faraday cage. Honestly, it looks like your screens, like in the window, right? Then they put the plaster over it, and that's how they made walls, because they didn't have drywall back then. Okay. So what I noticed too, and what a few of us noticed, is we found some instances where the electrical wasn't installed very well, and it was touching against the plaster, and the plaster had started to crumble and stuff, because it just happens over time. And we found that there was just some poorly shielded wires that were touching, and they touched some of the metal against the plaster, and that was causing weird spikes here and there. It wasn't always setting it off 100%. Some of them would. The EMF reader would always be going off if you put it near the plaster. But some of them, it was only doing it when that particular wire was kind of being used, like a light was being turned on or something, or it was a microwave. There's different instances of it. And that's why I talk about plaster in a few videos, and I've just kind of touched on it. And I'm not sure if anyone has really kind of covered this before. It's just where I live and where I did a lot of ghost hunts, this is a very common building practice. And we found that this issue with plaster was always coming up. Old plaster from the 1800s. You can see too, they're made of steel, and steel conducts electricity as well. I'm just going to play you a little short clip from Adelaide Haunted Horizons. It shows you an example of bad wiring in an old house and how it was setting off the EMF readers, and say, well, is this a room you feel there's a ghost in? Do you feel most uncomfortable in here? And then I would explain that it's the electricity, it's the bad wiring. And once you get that fixed, you should feel fine. And in almost all cases, yeah, they end up feeling totally fine once they fix the problem.
But if light doesn't set off the EMF meters, I hear you say, what about that episode where I showed turning on a light switch at one of the venues we were at caused the EMF lantern and the EMF meters to go off?
Oh, you just turn the light on. Cool. Can we just do that again? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's because it's not when you turn them off. Yeah. You turn them on.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't the light itself. These are old buildings, old wiring, and it was probably dirty electricity. So when I turned that switch on, that surge of power and the leakage probably is what set the EMF meter off, not the light itself.
So if you're using the EMF, if you hit a spot and it goes up, go back. If it keeps staying up, it's not anything to do with spirit. It's to do with that spot that you're standing. Otherwise, if it like rises up while you're on the move and you can't recreate it, it might be something spirit related, but it might also have just picked up somebody's cell phone or a walkie-talkie going off or a microwave being turned on somewhere. So it's kind of, if you've really got to know your environment and you've got to apply the scientific method to all this stuff.
And let me just add that I hate looking at videos of myself that are really old like this. Oh God, I hate it. All right. So just to explain it a little bit more, the EMF, it senses fluctuations in the EM fields. We have our Wikipedia. I'm not going to click on the ghost like websites. You want to click on the other websites that aren't trying to sell you a ghost tool. All right. Because the ghost ones, they'll be biased and they'll talk about things that aren't necessarily accurate. But yeah, there's two different types of EMF meters. There's single axis, measures it in one dimension at a time. Tri-axis measures it in all three dimensions simultaneously. Most people are using the cheapy one, which is just the one dimension one. Even just taking it back to the same location, you might also need to physically move your arm like the same direction or degree that it was in. So it measures the ambient surrounding, electromagnetic fields. It goes into the math here. This is very mathy, so we're not going to get into this too much. But you can see there's different sensors, right? This is like a tri-sensor kind of deal. But the little like black one is like the cheapy one. And that's usually what people use in their ghost hunts. It's like super cheap. Home biology. All right. So this won't be like ghost heavy. So we'll take a quick look at what these guys have to say as well. So yeah, they say you can get it from cell phones, masts. So like it could be a cell phone tower near your house. It can also be like electrical like poles and stuff if you're too close to one that has one of those transformers or whatever on it. If you're too close to some of them, like some houses are like it's right in front of their house kind of deal. So like it could pick up that as well too. For some reason, there's always one part that's faulty near someone's furnace. It always is. Anytime I was taken to the spot where I figured out like it was something, it was always in the basement and it was always like near the furnace or water heater. Like there's always a faulty part, a bad shielded wire. Like there's always something in everyone's house. And like honestly, you want to get that stuff fixed. So it's good to actually test that stuff, especially if you're feeling like you're being watched or you're feeling uneasy around like anything HVAC, AC, water heater, furnace, anything like that. It's invisible, and for basically any situation you'll encounter in your daily life, you won't notice it unless you're specifically looking for it. When you're talking about like wireless signals or microwaves or cell phones, the current might not be active. But let's say someone's phone receives like a text message or something, or like phones only periodically bounce off of the cell phone towers, for example. So like it's that periodic. And that's where I think like some of these EM readings and ghost hunts come from. And that's why honestly, I don't think you should use an EMF reader to detect a ghost. You should use an EMF reader to test wiring in a house and test areas of a house to see if it's actually got an explanation of wiring as to why someone feels uneasy in a certain spot. But they should not be used to figure out if a ghost is nearby, because you just have so many devices now with cell phones and everything. There's so many things that can set it off. And if you have a group of like 4 of you in there or more, all your cell phones are going off at different times. They're all pinging at different moments. So you could catch anyone's phone. Yeah, it's just a messy thing to use to say that it's a ghost. It just doesn't make sense. Now, the next piece of tech I want to talk about is the REM Pod. First, let's just take a quick look. I did cover this in another video, but this is Kenny. He got a hold of a REM Pod. He took it apart. So he pretty much explained these are all glue sticks, like literal glue sticks. Okay, this thing is made out of complete trash. And just an update, I do believe that they replaced the glue sticks with actual resin after Kenny released that article. Like they did upgrade it and everything, but still, it's still a piece of crap. See, it was all like melted and stuff. Like there's 4 LEDs, some wire. The main component is a junior theremin circuit. That's what they use. The theremin works by manipulating electromagnetic field generated by two antennas. You have the pitch antenna and the volume antenna. You have the speaker. There's all this stuff in here too. And your other antenna's down here. So you have one up here, one down here. And that's how you play it. You put your hands between it. So you might be familiar with the Star Trek intro. That is a theremin. Then the REM Pod is a junior theremin kit, which it doesn't have the secondary antenna, but it's designed to kind of use your body as the conductive material. So it's always looking for a connection to be completed, for the circuit to be completed. So the theremin requires electricity and like a conductor, which is our body. And it can go off with electromagnetism in the air as well. But the point is as with the motion detectors, as I said, we don't know what ghosts are made of. We don't know if they exist. We don't know, right? So again, we don't know what we're measuring. So you can't make guarantees on any of this stuff. So some people might say, oh, well, a ghost is made of electromagnetism or energy of some sort, and we can't sense it or feel it. But then why does the EMF meter not go off so often? Like, why do REM pods go off so often and so easily when all the other meters that use EM don't? And they've been used for years before the REM pod existed. Like, how come a REM pod can sit beside other devices and the REM pod goes off, but none of the other devices do when they're trying to sense EM as well? It just doesn't make sense. And I think that the device itself is too sensitive and buggy to be using for scientific purposes. Because in the end, we have lost the plot. Ghost hunters on YouTube are just doing it for entertainment, but they don't say that. And they try to act like all these ghosts and everything are real, or they're trying to act like they help someone pass on to the other side. But we all started this stuff. Paranormal investigators started it to try to get answers about the afterlife. And along the way, I blame ghost hunting shows like Zach Bagans and such. And now it's just turned into gadgets and lights and squirrel attention spans in order to talk about ghosts. We kind of have forgotten the whole purpose of why we started doing this and why we started using gadgets in the scientific process. I'm going to show you a clip of how the theremin works. It's just kind of helpful to understand because the REM pod's made of a theremin kit, and that's why it goes off so easily and why it's really easy to like fake evidence with the REM pod, and why it's also really easy to accidentally set it up the wrong way too. It's a very unstable device.
Nothing comes close to what a theremin can do in the air without touching. And that's because I'm going to explain why. The theremin is a transmitting device. You have a volume loop here, which is an antenna. This is the volume side of your instrument. This is the pitch side, a pitch antenna, the pitch side. You know, the two coils, pitch and volume. Pitch is the sound. Volume, of course, is amplitude of the sound, high and low. What we have is something that we are offering the theremin to make its music, and that is our own electricity. We have the ability to have capacitance, that is storing electric energy. And this instrument work exactly the same way. They use capacitance in their circuitry to release the electrons to make loud and soft music, high and low pitch. It's all affected by our presence around these antennas. And I'm going to show you a visualization of how this all works. Right here, we have a plasma plate. We have electrical energy of high intensity emitted from this plate. You probably have seen plasma globes, maybe yay big, and you put your hand on it, and the electricity goes to you. The same theory. You have electricity in your body, and it is excited by the electricity in your body. This is what's going on. You can see visually exactly what's going on here. Okay? Okay? Put that in your head. That image going on here. That's how the theremin works.
He did a test. When you have a two-way radio, it will set off the REM pod. And I'll try to find the clips, but in Watcher, they actually explain this. Shane is the one who's a non-believer. He used his radio to talk to Ryan, and then he's like, oh, the REM pod went off. He's like, oh, maybe there is something here or something. Like Ryan, who's a believer, he actually was like, no, the radio set off the REM pod.
This REM pod just started going crazy. That's because you're using the radio. Oh, does that happen? Yeah. Oh, ¿qué se hace?
So even 30 feet away, he can set off the radio. He can set off the REM pod. Keep that in mind because every Twin Paranormal episode, their REM pod is going nuts. Every single one. And this is what kind of got me like wondering about them. Why is it their channel that the REM pod's always going off? And then Andrew told me that they travel in a crew. There's like a whole like crew with them. And you can set it off 30 feet away with a two-way radio. So no one would hear the radio go off if they're far away, or you can edit out the sound of the radio. And that is how they make the REM pod turn on all the time. They're using, I believe, two-way radios in their pockets, and they're using that to make it turn on and off. And then when they say, can you stop touching it, and it turns off, it's because they stopped messing with it. And I think they do that the majority of the time. Okay, this is Calamity's channel. You may recognize him from being in chats and stuff all the time. I also wanted to add his video because what happens in his video here, how he explains it, is sort of how I started doubting Twin Paranormal. And then I started looking into what the hell the REM pod actually is. And this is when I realized how easy it is to fake everything. Other creators saying like, this thing never goes off. How do you guys get it to go off?
And when they pulled out a REM pod, I was thinking, shit, here we go. Another one trying to be like the big content creators. But that wasn't the case. They may have actually unintentionally debunked some of the biggest paranormal channels here on YouTube.
For the record, this is called the REM Pod, and a lot of the top ghost investigator channels, they use it. Sam and Colby, Phase Rug. Like, this is a pretty, like, well-known tool.
Yep.
And in their videos, it goes off.
Really?
Yeah, like, often. And, yeah, right now we're not getting any
Do
activity.
they ask you questions?
No, it's just mainly just leave it there.
Now, as you can see, they go on to discuss that, you know, for the bigger channels, this goes off all the bloody time. You know, they go on to mention that it's not gone off for them. It does go off a little bit later on, and we will show that.
I feel like you always activate it. That's not you. That's the first time we've gotten anything from the REM pod.
It stopped.
We've been doing this for hours.
All right, so let me just show you an example of their REM pod that always goes off.
Before we start, when we were grabbing the batteries, we were talking to the tour guide, so far what we got, and out of nowhere, one of the other tour guides told me. Dude, that means it's a full graph. That means something went all the way to that antenna. Whoa.
So like they're on multiple floors. So what's to say that their crew or something isn't sitting underneath and messing with it? Also, I just want to add two things. One, Kenny Biddle, when he tested, the only way that he got the REM pod to not react to the radio was by literally putting a Faraday cage around it. So it can travel through walls and floors and such. And then two, the REM pod goes off like this or even crazier in every single one of their videos. Going to save our sanity to not have to listen to it constantly, but you can just watch any of their videos. It goes off by command, goes off when they talk to it, when they tell it to stop, it stops. Like, I just think one of their other crew or someone has a walkie-talkie somewhere near it and they're just, you know, setting it off and it answering to Ryan or whoever's speaking. You compare them to other channels that don't fake results, and that's how you can kind of figure out which channels are doing a lot of fakery. Other times the REM pod has gone off because they've been outside. The REM pods will go off if there's like electricity in the air, like if there's a storm, if there's like moisture in the air, if there's a storm about to happen, any like electromagnetic like high environment, it will go off as well. I'm just going to show you a brief clip. They say like a storm is coming in. You can hear the wind pick up and then the REM pod goes off. Either they don't understand that this happens with the REM pods or they just kind of let it go and then take it as evidence of something. I think a lot of these YouTube like ghost hunters, it's like they know it's false positive, but they're just going to take it as evidence because it'll make the video better.
Or if it's real, if you are actually a shapeshifter, skinwalker, puck wedgie.
Dude, it's a storm right now, bro. We've never done anything like... Between! Dude, did you just hear that? The device...
Now, this is another clip from Twin Paranormal. But to preface this, I just want to point out Twin Paranormal will once in a while do these little things where they talk about testing or setting up the equipment properly, or they debunk something. And I noticed they wouldn't do it every episode. They just do it once in a while. And it feels very performative as a way to say like, yes, we are properly debunking and yes, we're doing things properly. And I've noticed other channels kind of do this performative thing too, because you compare them to someone like Paranormal Quest and they're constantly debunking stuff and showing you how they're checking for false positives and making sure there isn't explanation that's not paranormal. It's just something to keep in mind when you see these channels do this sort of performative debunking every once in a while. They always choose something small just to make it look like they're trying to do things properly. This is a bit of a side rant. So to get back on track here, I'm going to show you this clip from Twin Paranormal. They talk about setting up the REM pod correctly. And then I'm going to get into something about Celina and Chris, and I'm going to show you how they set up their REM pod.
How we know the REM pod isn't malfunctioning is at this moment, it is just glowing red and it's not buzzing. Sometimes when you stick it on a bed, like a hotel bed or something, it'll just continuously buzz. And that's how you know that it's not the right spot to set a REM pod, because something is obviously interfering with it.
Clip from the Celina and Chris's investigation.
Made it sexy.
There's like a ee in the background the whole time. That's the REM pod. It's malfunctioning right away.
Yeah. Not by my doing, by the way. So we have this, and then we also have the REM pod, which has been going off as we've been setting up.
You just heard Ryan actually say about a REM pod being on the bed and it constantly going off, and how like it's not placed right, and that's actually you got to change position and reset it. And that is what's happening all through this. I feel like Celina does know this, but I think she just lets it be. Like, you can't be this oblivious to your devices while watching her also mess with the dead bell and making it go off constantly. You can't turn around and say that she's oblivious to everything. That just doesn't make sense to me. Like, she has to know what she's doing is creating false positives. I just don't see how it wouldn't dawn on her. You know, she owns all this equipment. Up next, I'm just going to touch on the spirit box or whatever. I wouldn't even give this thing like a whole video because it's very easy to explain. These spirit boxes are literally radios. It literally is scanning the FM, usually the FM, because there's more radio stations on there. People can choose if it scans FM or AM. Everyone always chooses FM. It's scanning your radio station that you listen to. Turn on your car, turn on the radio, talk radio, DJ, music, whatever. It's scanning those radio stations, and the voices or the words that come through are from the literal radio. There's no real debunking for this other than the fact that this is common sense. People are getting words from the radio. It's the radio, right? Now, the debunking side of it, I will say, is that these devices you buy for this, you can control the speed at which it flips through the radio stations. So people that want, false positives, essentially, where they want more evidence, they will slow down the speed of the spirit box so that it's flipping through slower. So you're guaranteed to get a word and sometimes a whole sentence because it's flipping through the stations very slowly. This is what people do to like force stuff. Let me show you some of these spirit boxes, all right? Because you can adjust the speed that they're at, okay? So in here, you can go faster or slower. I'm going to play you another clip from Calamity's video where those same ghost hunters also bought a spirit box and they didn't realize that it was just a radio, and this is their reaction to it. And I thought this is really important to show because there's a lot of people that don't really understand even what the devices are, and they're watching these shows assuming that these are ghosts coming through and not realizing it's just a radio.
It has to be the best response to a spirit box not going off and not hearing anything I've ever heard. The guy is hilarious.
I mean, I also did bring this machine, and it's not even a machine. It's a f***ing radio, dude. I thought I was gonna get like this cool, I'll just show you guys. It's literally a radio station. Randomizer though, it searches. Classic piano. Vampire ass song. Ghost scanner. It's fucking radio, man.
Yeah, you got scammed, dude.
It's that moment when he realizes it is just a radio.
Okay, now let's talk about the Estes method, which uses the spirit box. They're connected. The Estes method, personally, when I first saw people doing it, I thought this is just a way to fake what you're hearing on the spirit box to make it look good for your video. Like, it really felt like a way because the viewer can't hear it. This is why I do like some channels that actually pump the audio into their video. But the Estes method gives an opportunity for everyone to fake stuff. Not to mention, and I think I covered it in a video too. Actually, it's my video here where people are surrounded by someone doing the Estes method, and like no headphones are 100% soundproof. And everyone's always really close to the person asking questions. So like it gives an opportunity as well for someone to think that they're hearing something because they're hearing the question. So that's also my video here.
I just saw today a video from penguins. They are skeptics who went on a ghost hunt. And I'm just going to add to the video and show you how close everyone is sitting for this Estes method. But also he talks about the cuts that they did to the video to make it look like ghosts were answering them.
How old are you?
A little bit. Or it's just a short stack.
3.
Wow.
So like 3 years old. Now, in most ghost hunting things you'll watch, that's what you see right there, where it actually did seem like there was a little bit of a conversation happening where we'd ask a question and Matt would get an answer through the spirit box to our question. What you don't see is the 5,000 questions we also asked that got no response or absolute mumbo jumbo response.
You see how close everyone is together, and like, yeah, he's wearing headphones, but you can still hear through those. Like, I have gaming headphones. Like I've done the whole headset thing. You can still hear people if they're in like another room or something, or like 6 feet away, maybe not, but like they're literally sitting right beside him, and it's a room full of a bunch of people too. Like you'll be able to hear it. People still come through. Now let's talk about the honey portal, honey sound, whatever. It was in Celina and Chris's ghost hunting video. I'll cover it off because it is a spirit box. That portal thing is just complete like BS. It's Huff Paranormal. Like he's been debunked a ton of time, but he just puts it in. It's like a guitar, crap, I can't think of the word right now. It's a pedal, does like the sound effect on the guitar. He just uses that with the spirit box. He takes out the white noise, he leaves the words in, and he makes it go through that thing to change its tone and make it sound creepy. And that's all that portal thing is. And he charges like a ton of money for it. Additionally, too, with this one, I want you to watch her reaction. I'm going to play the honey tone thing or whatever. I'm going to replay this for you guys a couple times. Watch how Celina reacts, and it feels like really forced acting to me. Like she knew that it was the honeycomb box that went off. It scared Chris because she wasn't ready for it. Like I think it made them jump just because they weren't ready for it. But then Celina goes, "What was that? Where did that come from?" But it's like she knows where it came from. Like she's aware. The way that she presents it, just like it seems like she's acting and she's faking that she doesn't know where it came from and she doesn't know that the box made the noise. Like it just seemed weird. It's like these little things in this ghost hunting episode that have made me really change my mind on Celina, especially more lately, because I've already had inklings, and now this stuff has just set me over the edge. Between the stupid match thing, her messing with the dead bell, and then the way that she acts with this honeytone thing, and then they're not fixing the REM pod. Like, I just think Celina's faking a lot of this stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't think Chris knows, and I don't think Chris cares either way. I think she just likes having fun and going to these places with Celina, who's her best friend, right? But I do think Celina's messing with this stuff.
This is a portal, so it takes a spirit box, it gets rid of a lot of the static, and it just lets the words come through a lot more clear. So we have this, and then we also have the REM pod, which has been going off as we've been setting. Oh my gosh! What was that? Was that a thing? That was horrifying. I don't know, I didn't like that. I didn't like that either. Setting. Oh my gosh! What was that? Was that a thing? That was horrifying. I don't know, I didn't like that. I didn't like that either. What was that? Was that a thing? That was horrifying. I don't know. I didn't.
All right, and then up next we have our SLS cameras. So this became pretty popular with the Kinect. So SLS, just to define it here, a structured light 3D scanner. It's a 3D scanning device for measuring three-dimensional shape of an object using projected light patterns and a camera system. The light source from the scanner head projects a series of parallel patterns onto the scanned target. When the light projects onto the object's surface, the patterns become distorted. The cameras capture these images and send them to 3D scanning software for processing. So the issue issue with the SLS cameras, there's a couple issues. One, you can fake the results. It's very easy to just add edited like video over top. And there's some YouTubers out there who like their page is filled with these SLS or Connect camera or whatever pickups. For example, you can't have two of the stick figures one on top of each other. Like the technology does not see it as two separate people. So if you have two humans in a room and they cross each other's path, the stick figures are going to go all jumbly and then lose track of each person. But you'll find videos on YouTube where people have like multiple stick figures walking past each other and they're staying totally solid and not changing at all. The other issue with them is the cameras that they're using are trying to look for people, like human-sized things, trying to make a human characteristic. So if there's like a chair with a jacket on it or something like that, it's going to think it's a human and try to see it as a human. And then it realizes it's not, then it'll drop it, then it'll try again. And a lot of ghost hunters will take that as thinking that there's something in the room with them. So especially with chairs and stuff, it tends to accidentally pick those up. So a lot of ghost hunters, there's some out there that fake it, but there's a lot of them who just don't really understand how the technology works and don't understand how many like false positives can come from the technology. And that tends to be the more often of the case. So if you're going to use SLS cameras, just understand what the technology is and understand how it works. And again, you know, apply the scientific method, try to recreate it. And if you can recreate it, then it probably is a false positive.
I found the video. It was Mr. Gray, not Mythos. I couldn't remember which one. I think I kept saying both.
Move my stupid fat head out of the way. Right. This was taken from a clip of a Microsoft demo. So you're going to walk in front of each other and keep an eye on those down there. What happened? What happened? Let's have a look at that again, shall we? Alright, so I've zoomed in now. We're going to have a look at that again if I go back. Obviously, this is a different version of SLS stick figure because you can change how they look in the settings. You know, people choose different settings, but it's the same exact tracking data being used in every single SLS camera, Connect, whatever. So that's what you want to be looking at right there. That's the two of them on screen. You can't see it now, it's up there. So when they cross each other,
we can even switch positions here.
That's what happens. And don't forget now, this particular demo here is a more advanced version of the kind of Connect stuff that, say, Really Haunted's using. GhostTube is definitely not using the same software as Connect and SLS. GhostTube is like at the most basic of tracking using your phone camera, basically. What happens is when the camera, the Connect SLS, I'm just going to call it the Connect, right? Because it's basically what it is. When the Connect is detecting bodies, obviously it's detecting joints, neck, everything. It's figuring out where the body is. Obviously, if it's so annoying I haven't got a Connect. If I was here, now I'd be detecting everything else. If someone was to walk behind me, it would lose track of the person behind me because obviously it can't see through my body. It doesn't have X-ray vision. That's the key point here. The Connect does not have X-ray vision. Okay, so if we go back, notice how the body's in front of him. As you can see this in other pieces of this footage as well. The body in front of him is formed, and Lee, who's in the background, is still it's the exact same shape. It shouldn't now. If I go back again, when I play this, you'll see when Lee gets up, obviously it sees the proper form of his body, because when he's lying down, the Connect can't detect that properly. That's why it looks all garbly mess. But when he starts to stand up, it forms his entire skeletal structure in the Connect software. But it shouldn't be able to do that because he's behind the blue figure. Do you see what I mean? You shouldn't be able to see his stick figure behind him right now, because the blue stick figure was in front of him. And you'll see more examples of this throughout that footage, like for this one for once. Mr. Coward. See that figure there? You shouldn't be hit. If I pause it, you should not be able to see a fully formed skeletal structure of Lee behind that blue, purple, whatever.
And before someone says, oh, well, ghosts are see-through and that's why it picks it up. SLS, the whole point of it and the whole technology is it's mapping something 3D in the environment. So like, again, we're onto this whole, if ghosts are invisible and if you can walk through them, blah, 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 then this technology shouldn't even pick them up anyway. So why are we using this crap? I'm pretty sure we're using it because of that movie that came out first and did this for a movie scene. Paranormal Quest is actually a pretty good team. They don't fake stuff. They debunk stuff as they go. They explain things really well. They are using an SLS camera. They get a false positive and on the fly they debunk it. Then they explain the technology. When we look at their situation, like when we look at the clip here, that is a team who understands the technology that they're using. A lot of teams don't understand the tech and they end up with false positives and then they call it evidence when it's not. It's just a false positive. Oh, it's this one. It's Sam and Colby's Haunted School.
If anybody wants their picture taken, go stand right here in front of the chair. Whoa.
What? Oh, there's something mapping on the chair?
Yeah. But there wasn't. The whole time I was just standing there.
Yeah.
And I said, go stand by the chair.
Let's see if it maps the chair again here.
Yes.
It does, so it's probably something naturally occurring.
Yes.
It's probably just mapping the chair because it has legs.
It's always important to test and debunk the SLS camera, especially when the figure appears perfectly over a chair or other furniture. So Dave pans the camera away from the chair, and when he pans back, the mapping returns. We believe the reason it didn't map the chair here, but it did here, was simply a change of angle. So to us, this SLS figure is debunked.
I found this one to be the best explanation, especially to show people, because they talk about the angle and everything. And the thing is, in all these ghost hunter videos that use this SLS, they always end up mapping a character or a thing in a chair. SLS is trying to find a figure of a human. It's always looking for legs, arms, a head. So things like a chair, a jacket on like a hanger, things like that, it will map it as a person, but there's no person there. So when you look at people who use this SLS stuff, you've got to realize it's not meant for ghost hunting and it's trying to make human shapes out of whatever's in the environment. It's not the best for this kind of stuff. So yeah, I do recommend them if you want to check out someone who's doing like a real investigation and debunking the stuff. The only thing is like, again, these guys rely a lot on gadgets and stuff. I don't care for gadgets. The gadgets are they're meant to give results. They're going to give results every time. Also, just to add, I talk about Paranormal Quest a lot because personally, I've seen them debunk more gadgets, maybe because maybe I watch them a little bit more than like Ouija Brothers and Ghosts on Trent and things like that. I don't know how often they debunk stuff, but Paranormal Quest debunks it quite a lot. And I really do appreciate teams that go through the effort of showing how they debunk it and the problems with the stuff. I'm not trying to stand them or anything. I actually have a problem with a few of their recent videos because personally to me, I think there is a fine line when it comes to covering true crime and ghost hunts. Like, I think for me, it's timeline. If the generation is still alive that experienced the trauma, I don't think that you should cover it. But this is my personal opinion. I know a lot of you know that already. I may appreciate some teams and how they run their investigation and how they debunk and everything, but I don't really agree with the true crime aspect. So, because I know that'll come up again later down the road. So I just want to kind of put that out there. SLS and LiDAR are different. SLS is like the grid pattern and it's more like the Connect and it does like a small area with more detail. Whereas LiDAR is like a large area and it kind of sends pulses out and receives them back. So like LiDAR, you really got to be stationary. SLS, technically, you should be stationary. That's how it's designed, but people are able to kind of walk around with it because it doesn't do the pulses out. It does the grid, right? So these are two different technologies and a lot of people get them mixed up, but people don't even really understand it. And especially if you're moving around with it, which isn't really what it was designed to do, that can cause false positives too. And that's why it's good to understand like what you're using as well. I just want to point out too, the Tesla vehicles do not use LiDAR. They don't use SLS. They have have cameras everywhere. That's how they recognize when there's people around. So those videos you see of like ghosts, like the car recognizing ghosts, it's not. It's just, it's cameras. It's not even LiDAR. And a lot of people believe that, like people going to the graveyards and doing it, people think that the gravestones and stuff, it's picking up as humans. But most of them are just faked. It's really easy to fake the footage of that. Kenny also has done a video on it too, and he wrote a whole article about it as well. You can watch his video too. It's on the Center for Inquiry YouTube page, okay? And he goes into detail, and this is where he figured out the camera for the Kinect is designed to be up high. It's designed to be on top of the TV, like up high. So people walking around with it at the middle stance or whatever, it's not designed for that. As well, it was designed to be stationary, and that's a whole thing too. Also, he shows the distance, which yeah, SLS is a smaller distance, and it's supposed to be a smaller distance as well. So you can see he goes into a lot of detail here, and he's got references and everything. You can go check out his article. Yeah, Kenny has the Kinect thing here, revisiting the Kinect. So he goes into some more detail. Right, here it is, the Really Haunted channel. Yeah, these are the stick figures. So yeah, you can see he took pictures, or he took video of himself, and he just layered the stick figures over top. He explains how to actually make the video and everything too. That's some more details on the SLS and the Kinect and all that. So these videos I'm doing, if you didn't catch it from the first one, I'm doing light research as I'm talking to you guys, because life is busy right now. People can comment below as well if you have any corrections for me and everything too, because I'm not doing a deep dive. I recommend it's the Mythos video and Mythos and Mr. Gray and Kenny as well. Go check out their videos. They go into much more detail on the SLS stuff. And then you have like Ghost Tube, which is Amy's crypt. Her like husband programmed it and all that. That's interesting. And they have the VR thing. It's interesting, but I don't take it seriously. It's just another app. However, they have provided their source code and everything to everyone. But they're implementing now the VR headset with the AI like design and stuff. And I don't know, just don't take it seriously. Just treat it as entertainment is all I'll say on that. The other thing I'll also mention, because people do ask me about them, is they do label their app as like for entertainment, and they, in their description of their app, they actually explain that they don't know if this is picking up ghosts, that they designed this based on theories of how ghosts supposedly are to be picked up. Like they're very transparent about what their app does and what it's for and how it's programmed and where they use AI and where they don't use AI, which the majority of app and gadget creators aren't transparent like that. So I'll give them that. I just wanted to add a little section for like appreciating more people who kind of test gadgets and use the scientific method and whatnot. And I just kind of want to showcase a couple more instances where people are going out of their way to actually like show how gadgets work and to confirm or deny different things instead of just hiding it behind editing or not even listening to questions. I'm going to show you Adelaide's Haunted Horizons. They do ghost tours and everything. And they did a video on can IR lights set off EMF meters. They're doing like a whole series because they have tons of equipment. So if you go to their video here and you leave a comment of anything that you want to see them test, they said that they're going to do a whole series of this stuff. And they want you to comment like what other things you want tested. Can IR lights set off EMF meters? No, is what they found out. They did the test. But what I like about this video is the lengths that they went through to test everything. They talked about each device that they're testing. They talked about how it's set up properly, like, you know, making sure that it's set properly. They talk about like how each device works. Like they fully understand their equipment, and then they're fully testing it too. And they're kind of like following like scientific method for testing the equipment as well. So I really like what they did for how they tested everything. And that's something I think a lot of teams don't do. Ones that are serious investigators, paranormal investigators do this, and they do understand all of their equipment and how it works. But the majority of these like YouTube ghost hunters, they don't know how anything works, or they know how it works and they're purposefully letting it set off false positive, but anyway, I found this video really good. It was very well done, and I really enjoyed the way that they tested everything.
Can infrared lights set off our EMF meters? In our Derby Jail video, that when I turn my camera towards the equipment, EMF lantern would go off. Now, when I turned it away again, it would go quiet. Ooh, Hello. Now the lantern's going off. Somebody was playing with that lantern. Oh, that was good time. Good timing. Wasn't intentional, but good timing. Well, thank you for that. I am going to say, I do have a phone. I did discuss this in the video that I was starting to believe that when I brought my camera around, I also had my phone mounted on the top of the camera. I'm going to get into that later because if anything natural, that is what it would be. But I want to focus on the infrared light. Last night, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do some experiments. We've been working with this equipment and I've been working with infrared lighting for since the digital cameras came out. So 25 years, and not once has that light set off our equipment. EMF meters are only designed to pick up low levels of the EMF range. Light is in the higher levels of the spectrum. The EMF meters that we use are designed to pick up that low spectrum, which would be your electronics. It would be your wiring. It will also be radio frequencies, because radio frequencies will set off EMF. We discovered this for ourselves right back in 2009 when we were a paranormal research team. And we found out accidentally that yes, two-ways will set off EMF meters. Since then, I've been teaching that to tours.
All right, a little pause. Please do go watch the whole video. I'm trying not to include all of it in my video, but there's a lot of really good stuff in this video, so I'm trying my best. But I'm pausing here because I forgot about this part. This is great. I love that they teach people that come for ghost investigations. They teach them about the false positives in this equipment. Not many people, not many locations would do that. So I love that they do this. You will take a look on, you'll see what they do.
Now, for all those who see them talking to EMF meters, those characters on the TV show, I can talk to them as well. We can say, if there's a little ghost here, can you light them up? Once for yes, twice for no. So is there a small child here today? Yes. Do you like little girls? No. All right, beware on some of the shows, because all I have to do is touch my two-leg button to do it. So this is what I want. You see all this stuff going off all the time on shows. Be careful. I can set that off, goes off,
I got so excited.
and you can hear the lantern going in the back room there. All right, so all the EMF stuff, just from me pressing my button. So it's not that hard. I am putting it down now. I do not have it in my hands. But let's get back to light. Let's show you some of the experiments that I did. I'm not saying this is the final definitive answer to it all. I'm happy to have a discussion about it. I work with this equipment, we all do. Kag and me work with this equipment day in, day out. And we rarely get, I wish our tours would be so much more exciting, but we rarely get equipment going off on our tours. And we are working constantly with torches, infrared, everything else. Troy is my helper for the night. Troy has just given me an infrared light. So although it looks pink on here, which is how it shows on this phone, it is actually infrared. So the first thing I'm going to do with my infrared light, which is still on by the way, is I'm going to come up to the lantern and we're going to put the lantern with the infrared light. Okay, so you can see infrared light does not, and never has, create that lantern to go off. And the interesting thing also is the phone is broadcasting and that's not setting it off. K2s. Okay, the phone needs to be, because the phone will.
I just realised that, yeah.
So the phone will set it off. So infrared does not affect EMF. But I've done experiment after experiment with this stuff, and EMF is not set off by infrared lights. It's just not. If you've got a really powerful one with electronics in it, it might set it off if you get close enough, but it's not the light itself. It could be the workings in the infrared light, depending on what you've got, how big it is, and what's going on inside of it. But generally, the light itself isn't making it go off. Don't forget to get your questions in, all right? Is there something you want us to try, an experiment you want us to try with the equipment, and see if it works or it doesn't work? See if we can debunk or we can't.
Now, just one last small clip from Paranormal Quest. I actually saw this in Horror of Horror's recent video that she posted, and I thought that this was a great clip as well to include in this video. So she did the legwork finding the clip, and I'm just pulling it off of her video.
Closing on camera when no one was in this building. Oh my God!
And there it is.
But how? How, though?
Listening to that wind. When that happens, there's no doubt in my mind that I think the wind picked up strongly enough to make a vacuum to pull that shut.
Sadly.
It looks like something falls from the ceiling.
Yeah, it looks like dust falling down to me.
That is disappointing.
Disappointing, but also, it just goes to show you, you can get excited, but that doesn't always mean that it's paranormal. After watching this back and hearing it on these speakers, hearing how strongly the wind was blowing, there's no doubt in my mind that the wind picked up so strongly that it blew that door shut.
Lastly, I want to end this series talking about video editing itself. It's not technically a gadget, but it has become an important tool in faking activity or making things seem like you're getting results when you aren't, or making things more entertaining for your viewer. Pretty much like it's become an important tool of all the big popular ghost hunting channels that fake stuff. So I'm going to touch on it, and we're going to take a look at debunked paranormal as part of it. Like right here, what is this tweet? Editor's block. How do you have editor's block? What do you mean? You can't get editor's block. Writer's block is when you can't think of something to make up for your writing, like to think of what to write. Editor, you just edit. Are you having trouble thinking of what special effects and edits to do to make it look like things are happening when they're not? Also, I do recommend checking out, what is it, Paranormal Debunked, he really good video editor from like Africa. He showed a lot of really interesting edits from the twins. Also, do watch his video on how much paranormal channels, how much do they make? They make money, man. Like all of them do, including the ones that people are like, oh, they don't do it for the money. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They all do.
This was the clip.
Oh! Think might be able to see it. I don't.
Okay, so that's that part. So if you didn't catch it, what moved? So he said that something pulled the back of his jacket, and you can see over here, this part moves outwards. Which makes no sense. There you go. You have that little outward movement there. Which makes no sense because why would that little piece move outward if the back of his jacket's being pulled? But okay. So here I recreated it. So I did it. Just this little corner over here moved. At the same time, the other corner is moving. Okay. So do you see that? But the only difference is I don't have all the other artifacts happening in my part. Like over here is movement, and here's movement, and here's of the way they do it. So here's it without me. I'm just going to go frame by frame. And then here it is with mine. And I mean, I did not spend any time. This took me 2 minutes to do. Now, if I wanted to, I can go into a 3D Illustrator program and I can actually have it flap up and stuff like that. But I'm not going to spend that much time because it's not worth it. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to do it.
First of all, this guy, so far, I've been most impressed with him. He is like, I think he's a professional video editor or something.
Ladies and gentlemen,
he's very good. He talks about stuff that just like, I was like, holy crap, I didn't realize that this is happening. That means that Ryan acted out this scene, right? The artifacting shows you like they've edited this. They call their videos movies, And then they edit stuff like this in. So you have to question about things must be scripted. They must go into the plan. They go into the plan. They wait for certain words to pop up that they've added because they use the apps, the 2 apps that you can add words to. They're using devices and stuff that not many people use. Like they're able to like mess around with devices, and they're using so many devices that they're bound to get the words that they want because they've added their words to the dictionary. They have their phones going now. They have the watches going. They have other devices going, throwing out words. They're faking the REM pod stuff. They're using DR60s, which you can just make up what you think it says. And that's where I think they go in with the script. Him reacting like he did, throwing the jacket off and freaking out. They went in planning to do that because they plan to edit that later. This is all hush hush and close knit, right? It's them and their crew know that this is going on. When they have guests on, sometimes I've noticed some of their videos when they had other guests with them, they would get like less stuff happening. But I did notice that the REM pod was going off. Even some of their guests mentioned, they're like, wow, I can't believe the REM pod goes off so often for you guys. I'm like, yeah, because they're making it go off. So this is just some examples of the tools at hand. Editing is the biggest tool that you have, of course. Let me see if I can pull this one up. I think this one might be the knob one, just to show you like the editing that they do.
So here we go. Look at this frame by frame. Let's focus on this. Forget about this thing moving. Let's focus on this specific knob here. Not this knob standing here, this knob over here. It's good. I'm just joking with that. I don't want you guys to be offended. I just thought I'm talking about the knob, not this knob, but that knob. Okay, never mind. I don't have to explain myself. Anyway, you see that happening? Look at all the movement here. Look at the knob moving, elongating. Right before, only this part is going to move. Only that part. From something pulling the back of his jacket. So look at the knob elongating, going frame forward and back again. This entire area has been manipulated, or has been manipulated, and up. I'll go up now, but I just want to do this part. Okay, so here we see this is starting now, but look at all of this as well. And over here, I'm just going to go frame by frame, backwards and forward, so you can see everything. Look at the cupboard over here. You see, it moves exactly as the jacket moves. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? And look here, here's like a shadowy thing, which is not a shadow. It's an opacity layer issue that's moving with the jacket. You see that? And look at this entire part up here. Back and forth on that single frame. Going in again, look at that. And look at the knob now. Not the knob's jacket, but this knob over here. Look at that knob now. Elongating like that. And at the back here as well. Look at that. And look at this part over here. Because this was cut out like that. So that this part doesn't move. You see that? And then the jacket's moving, but look at all the movement around it. Look at that. So that's why I'm saying it's 100% fake. You guys shouldn't believe this.
Yeah, so definitely go check out the rest of Paranormal Debunk's videos. He does other like people besides Twin Paranormal, but I was surprised at how fake Twin Paranormal is. Twin Paranormal feels faker than Ghost Adventures. Like Ghost Adventures, they fake a little bit of evidence, but mainly it's just horrible acting and stupidness. They fake a lot of evidence, like a lot. And I've been wondering why they've been wearing these big weird looking jackets lately. And it's because it's easier for them to edit this stuff into it. Every video, they're getting more and more fake, scripted, over edited, using different gadgets so that they can manipulate them in different ways. And it's not just Twin Paranormal, other channels are doing this too. So like this brings us full circle back to this. which is my original thought and topic of this video. Is every channel knowingly doing this, like knowingly messing with their gadgets and everything to get false positives so that they have something to make a video about and that their video does well? And when Celina showed up to be a medium, the stuff that she was saying happened at that school never happened. And Seg debunked that too. It's just, I'm kind of reaching like this like point of like, maybe Celina is just a good actor and maybe all of this stuff is fake. So I guess for people watching, if you want to figure out who's real, you want to figure out who's not real. The ones who are real are usually the ones that have episodes where nothing happens and they'll still put it on YouTube. Sometimes they have episodes where something happens, but they debunk it. But I think you need to look for people who have episodes where like nothing happens. As for the gadgets themselves, I just want to add this. Rob, one of our members here, commented and was saying like, if these gadgets are supposed to be sensing what ghosts are made of and ghosts are made of the electricity that's inside of us right now, why are we not setting off every gadget? So if we as humans and our souls inside of us, so, you know, the theory goes, if we don't set off the gadgets by being around them, then the gadgets are not being set off by ghosts. Because if ghosts are supposed to be the electricity left over, our spirit, well, we're not a Faraday cage. Flesh is actually more of a conductor. We have water inside of us, which conducts electricity. So if we don't set off these devices, then this is not the right device to look for ghosts. And we're not going to be able to find a good device because we should be setting it off naturally ourselves. We're never going to have a device to use. My opinion is drop all the fucking gadgets, honestly. Go back to just simple ways. Get a camera, a simple voice recorder that's not a piece of crap, and a notebook and make some notes and sit quietly and try to actually communicate with something. These gadgets have distracted us and caused us to completely lose the whole idea of trying to figure out if there is life after death. Like I was saying last week as well, leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Do you think that YouTubers are faking stuff on purpose? Do you think that it's just kind of ignorance? They don't understand how the gadgets work, how they set them up, things like that? And going forward, is this something that we should ask of the serious ones, that we should be able to see their setup and make sure that they are setting up the gadgets and testing them correctly? But anyways, it's enough of me going on a rant here. I will see you guys in the premiere and I will talk to you then. And otherwise, yeah, have a good rest of your night.